Kevin Coop here, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. So this week it took just about 11 hours for Roseanne Barr to go from making a tasteless, crude, and racist comment on Twitter to losing her television series, which was one of the top series in the country. Now, one can, minimize the story, and I'm sure a lot of people will by saying, oh, this is all taking place in the entertainment industry. It doesn't really have anything to do with us. Well, in some ways that's true, but in some ways, listen, the entertainment business is a business after all, and ABC had built its entire schedule next year around the Roseanne Barr show. And this week it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. They almost immediately released a statement saying that the comments that she made on Twitter, which I will not repeat here, were abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values. Now, I don't want to get into how disgusting her comments were. But I think what's really important to realize here is that this reflects the degree to which social media and the fact that people get on social media and they can feel like they can say anything. They can give you a vision into the dark recesses of their souls, if indeed they have souls. That's the kind of impact that social media can have if you don't use it wisely and correctly. Sometimes people think they can do this stuff and it's going to be okay, but this time it just wasn't okay. And I'm really glad about that. Now, I don't really want to talk so much about the comments that she made as much as I want to talk about the timeline. Now, Axios makes the point that Roseanne Barr made her first offensive tweet at 2:45 a.m. Eastern Time. By 1:47 p.m. Eastern Time, her show was canceled. And listen, there's a lesson here about how fast bad behavior is going to be punished in the current environment. And like I say, that's probably a good thing. Now, what Axios said was that the immediate action taken by ABC is a good example of how the Me Too movement and social media have pushed American companies to be more stringent on not just sexual behavior, but bad behavior overall. In recent months, we've seen companies, and especially media companies, take action against talent, staff, and leadership for behavior that we now know executives knew about for a long time, or had settled in the past, or behavior that would have not been reprimanded in the past. But that's not going to happen anymore. And yes, again, these are media companies, but you can't tell me that major CPG companies, retailers don't have some of these same problems taking place, and they didn't worry about them in the past. Now, you absolutely have to pay attention and make sure these things don't happen in the future. Otherwise, you're complicit, and that's just the way it's going to be, and that's frankly the way the world's going to treat you. We are in a no-tolerance zone. Now, this doesn't even leave room for people to make mistakes, but I'm not sure that's such a bad thing, because it also doesn't allow people to consistently indulge in repulsive behavior. By the way, there's one other note I want to make here, and it's another lesson we get from what happened this week. I absolutely think this is one of that we learn a lot about the importance of diversity in companies by what happened this week. Now, listen, I think Disney and ABC probably would have done the right thing. ABC is owned by Disney, and racism really isn't in sync with the Disney image. But the fact of the matter is that the president of the ABC Entertainment Group is an African-American woman named Channing Dungey. She's actually the first African-American who's ever run a TV network. Okay, she was at the table, so she knew instantly exactly how repulsive the comment was and that ABC had to act on it. For the business, if nothing else, this was going to alienate sponsors and it was going to alienate a large percentage of their audience. By the way, I think Starbucks would have done the same kinds of stuff that it's doing this week, but I don't think it's unimportant that the COO of Starbucks is a woman named Rosalind Brewer, an African-American woman named Rosalind Brewer. It's important that people like that have a seat at the table because they're going to understand things in a way that, people who have traditionally run companies perhaps may not. Diversity does matter. Anyway, those are two lessons that I'm thinking about this week. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.